Good afternoon. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me here at a time in education when your voice is ever more important. Of course, the buzzword in education these days is Common Core State Standards, the CCSS, and these are important standards that I think will move our students forward. But if you had told me in 2006, when I began teaching, that in 2013 we're going to be talking about a Common Core that was CCSS, I might have assumed we were talking about serving students. And that's particularly what I'd like to talk to you about this afternoon. That's why we got into education. And many of us have a passion for our content area, but if we've stuck it out this long, it's because we really want to build into the young people that we serve. I believe that every child needs a champion, someone who values them, who believes in them, and who expects great things from them until they can expect those things from themselves. And I think author Wes Stafford is correct when he says that the children that come into our lives have an invisible chalkboard that's attached to their hearts and to their minds. And when they come into contact with an adult, they hold up that chalkboard and say, write something on my chalkboard, tell me something about myself, what is good and what is true, tell me why I matter, write on my chalkboard. And from a young age, and in many ways, people write on those chalkboards, and with each message, we're pointed toward a different path that we'll walk down in life. This happened in my life, and it probably happened in yours. I grew up in the home of an abusive alcoholic. I have a few positive memories of my mother, who was a person with a good heart, but that disease got the best of her, and our home became tumultuous and dangerous, and with each fight and with each week of neglect, my chalkboard began to fill with horrible and ugly thoughts about myself. If a painter were to create a canvas that would depict this scene in my life, it would be filled with dark, ominous storm clouds, a barren wasteland, a cold winter image, and maybe a tiny cabin in there, more of a shack, that was isolated in a field. But then, as the paint was drying in my teenage years, the artist would touch his brush to the canvas with a golden yellow and fill the window of that cabin and transform it into a sign of hope, a place of shelter, a safe harbor. And that splash of color painted in the window of my life was painted by two teachers, Mr. Reagan and Mr. Schertz at Upper Marion High School. With their time, their words, and their action, they showed that they believed in me, that they valued me, and that they expected great things from me. They provided me safe harbor during the storms of my life, and as they did, they put the power of the best profession on this earth before me. I left high school knowing that I wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to do that for others. I have been fortunate enough to spend the entirety of my teaching career at Patapsco High School and Center for the Arts in Baltimore County. This is a place where people make it their job to champion students. Into our school each morning comes a diverse student body, half of whom come from low-income homes, fighting with the additional anxieties and distractions that come with poverty in those circumstances. Our school, like all of your schools, is full of students who need us to champion them, need us to believe in them and value them. You can probably think of some students who come into your classroom with some pretty ugly things written on their chalkboards, or trying to survive the storms of their lives. The storm of being a struggling reader, the storm of destructive behavior, the storm of distraction and anxiety that accompanies poverty, or a storm of doubting their abilities. These children need us to paint the light of hope into their lives. One such student I met as a 10th grader. He sat quietly in standard classes doing his work and flying under the radar. But in reading his writing, I saw potential, raw and unpolished, but it was there. This was not a student mindlessly watching the world around him, but he was observing, evaluating, contemplating. He was simply not allowing his light to shine. You see, this young man was very intelligent. He had just been told, it had been written on his chalkboard, that he wasn't going to make it. It was written by an abusive parent. It was written by his family's poverty. It was written by his brother's desperate choice to join a gang and the bullet holes and stab wounds that came along with that choice. But then some teachers came into his life and started to write something else. They started to dab some golden yellow onto his canvas. That man moved into honors and AP courses. He earned a prestigious scholarship. He earned the top SAT scores at our high school, and now he attends the University of Maryland at College Park in the Honors College. And when he has moments of doubt and desperation, he still returns to us for edification and a reminder that he still has those teachers who believe in him and value him and expect greatness from him. We are his teachers. That is what we do. We are bearers of hope to children facing deficits of skill, of direction, of role models, deficits of self-esteem, of empathy, of persistence. And while every child needs a champion who will value, believe in, and expect greatness from them, we are here as the voice of teachers in our schools. You all are here to ensure we have a school system that champions every child. We are in a great time of change in education, a time when we all as teachers need your voice to ensure that these changes happen with care and thought and planning. These changes need to honor the hard work and progress that we have been making for decades in public education. And as we firmly set our feet in the digital age, we need to ensure that our schools champion every child, because we live in a time when your zip code does not have to determine your access to resources of knowledge and learning. Our most up-to-date, most broad, and most connected knowledge is freely available to anyone with a device and a connection, and we must advocate for the funding that allows for students to learn for their future they will face, and we must lead the evolution of our profession to leverage these tools and marry them with the known best practices to enhance the education for our students. Without equity in access and opportunity, technology will highlight the divide between the haves and the have-nots, and will cause to grow the largest achievement gap that we have in our public schools, those between children of low income and those who are not. Technology, though, will never replace the role of the teacher. I love when Siri or Google can answer a simple question for me, but there is no way that that can do for children what my teachers have done for me and what you do for the children in your school buildings. We need people who will build into and care about children as human beings, because they are just that, complex human beings who are more than data points and need their teachers to be skilled, pragmatic professionals who can make data-based decisions, but are also caring role models who can write a kindness onto their conscience and light a flame in their darkness. Thank you for your service to our students and our profession. I hope that as your Maryland Teacher of the Year, as a career-long member of TABCO and MSEA, that you know I stand with you as you lead the change and lead the charge. Have a tremendous school year. God bless.